Hi, my name is Sunil Fernandez and I'm the managing editor for goodreturns.in. I'm here to do a quick roundup of the day's business news. Let's begin with the stock markets. The Sensex and the Nifty fell for the second straight day in a row. The Sensex lost 202 points to end the day at 41,257 points. On the other hand, the Nifty lost about 61 points to end the day at 12,113 points. It was clearly a very weak session in trade. In fact, the markets began significantly higher, with the Nifty jumping 40-60 points in early trade, only to give back those gains. And one of the prime reasons for the fall in the markets was the Supreme Court decision that telecom companies have to pay their AGR, or the average gross revenue dues, by March 17. Now, this impacted some of the major telecom players, the stock prices of major telecom players, and also some of the banks that have lent to telecom players. So this dragged the markets lower, and sentiments turned weak after the Supreme Court's decision. Let's tell you what stocks gained today in trade. We had stocks like Bharti Airtel, Yes Bank. For a second straight day, Yes Bank saw significant gains. UPL, BPCL and HCL Tech. These were the stocks that were among the gainers. What lost ground today in trade was GAIL, Gas Authority of India Limited, Indusind Bank, Bharti Infra, Power Grid and Eicher Motors. Indusind Bank fell for the second straight day by a significant percentage. Some of the stocks that were in the news today was Yes Bank. Again, Yes Bank has rallied for the second straight day. It jumped yesterday in trade. It jumped again today in trade. And one of the reasons for the sharp gains in the stock of Yes Bank is reports that JC Flower, one of the top private equity firms in the US, is planning to invest sums along with a consortium of others in Yes Bank. The investment is pegged at about $2 billion US. Now, that's not really a small sum, so we'll see significant amount of capital infusion subject to all approvals, regulatory approvals. We don't know the finer contours of the deal. We still need to understand what the deal is like, and it's always important in such cases that the deal must go through, because there are various regulatory approvals that are necessary. But for the time being, 2 days in a row, Yes Bank stock jumped on this news. So some favorable development there at Yes Bank. Another stock that was in the news, of course, was Bharti Airtel. Now, as we all know, the Supreme Court announced a decision today that telecom companies must pay their average gross revenues by March 17. Now, what happened was the stock of Voda-Idea fell, and the stock of Bharti Airtel gained. The belief is that it will be difficult for Voda-Idea to sustain, and this could benefit two major players like Reliance Industries, which operates the Reliance Jio, and Bharti Airtel, of course. So both Reliance Industries share price rallied, and Bharti Airtel also stock rallied, while Voda-Idea shares lost ground as investors worried whether they will be able to pay up the AGR, and investors worried whether the company would be able to continue its operations because of the huge burden of AGR on them. Some of the other things that were in the news was the WPI inflation data, which came in. The inflation data came in at 3.1% in January, as against 2.59% in December. The WPI is the wholesale price index, and generally when the RBI decides on cutting or increasing the repo rates, it does not keep in mind the WPI, or the wholesale price index inflation. It generally keeps in mind the consumer price index inflation. So to that extent, the WPI is not so relevant as compared to the CPI, which is a very, very important number. Coming to some other news, as we told you while discussing stocks, the Supreme Court today asked select telecom players to deposit the average gross revenues by March 17, 2000, 20. It also pulled up the Department of Telecommunications, and it came up with some strong statements today, and it's also asked some of the telecom players why there should be no contempt of court case against some of them. So the words used by the Supreme Court were pretty harsh. It came down quite heavily on some of the telecom companies as well as DOT. We have to now see what happens and how companies like Vodafone-Idea are able to raise resources to pay up the AGR dues, which are due by March 17. That's all that was in the news today. Keep watching the videos, goodreturns.in videos, and we'll hope to see you again on Monday in the evening. Thank you.